the show. Let's see what has been happening in the wrestling world. Welcome to the show, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Counts, always the best guests in Midwest. The Two Counts, great time guaranteed because we're the best of the best. Meet Phoenix and JR, Top Shelf Tommy, we're about to start. Welcome to the Two Counts. It's time to dig deep into the wrestling world. Welcome to the Two Counts, where comedy meets wrestling by fans for fans. The Two Counts.
The Two Count. The Two Count. Where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, like, and start a hype train for God's sakes. And now, here are the hosts of The Two Count. Comedian John Russell, wrestling broadcaster Big Ace, and everybody's favorite heel, Top Shelf Tommy.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another Tuesday night time. You know what that means.
It's a Two Count Tuesday.
And we're a guy short. We have no John Russell tonight, to the much delight of Top Shelf over there. No JR tonight. He's somewhere.
Hell yeah.
We don't know where he's at, actually.
I think
Hopefully
he's
alive.
deep in the heart of Texas, getting some training or, I don't know, being old, all that sort of stuff.
All that sort of stuff. Zach, hello. Shotgun Radio, welcome. We're going to talk about you in a little bit, Zach. Josh, what is up, our friend? We love having you here. And Tina, hey. Tina, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. It is another Tuesday night. It is the Two Count, and we're going to dive into some stuff tonight. I'll tell you what. We had Night of Champions go down over the weekend. We had Double or Nothing go down over the weekend. There's some other news. We both had stuff going on for the weekend. We'll dive into all that later. We got a great guest to start the show off, though. And Tom and I had the pleasure of meeting this man in person at the last Madhouse Wrestling show. Weird thing is, I've known of him. I've seen his stuff. We've been Facebook friends for a while now. So it's always nice when you get to meet somebody and face to face when you hear about them around. So we're very excited. We have Austin Bayliss in the house. There we go. There he is. Hello.
In the house, man. So
and we're glad to have you.
Bro, that's a scary. I've heard about this guy for a long time, but
I told you this at that show. I think it was like Luke or Mallard or somebody. I went up and I was like, I just don't want to make an ass of myself, but that's Austin, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, because I'm going to introduce myself because I know of you, and I knew we were friends on social media and stuff. Tina says hello, but I could not for the life of me remember if we ever met. So I was like, I want to make sure I introduce myself. And we were lucky enough to use your ring that night and had a great show. And yeah, got to meet you and we got to talking. And we had to get you on because, first of all, you're a very, very busy man, right? Because when I met you, the night I met you, we were renting your ring. You were DJing a birthday party or something that night. And from what I see, you're always out there doing the ring rentals. You got your own promotion. We got the big fan fest coming up. Are you still doing some side hustle DJ things here and there?
I'm tired, man. I'm already excited for next week. We're going to talk a lot about this weekend, but I'm already excited for next weekend because it's crazy. It all kind of is a blur. So little quick story about me. My personal life. I have a very rewarding life. I'm very lucky. Married, have one son that is now a third grader. Today was his last day of second grade, so that's pretty sweet.
Nice.
Congrats.
I'm afforded a stay-at-home dad role, which allows me to be an entrepreneur and get myself into trouble in as many ways possible. So I'm the president of our community's historical society. We have gotten into commercial real estate and residential real estate here in the last few years. When COVID happened, we somehow found ourselves dabbling a little bit in that. We farm. I own a video production company. I've started to coach some of my some of my son's sports teams, youth sports, and not a very good coach, but I think I make up for that and trying to be a good dad. So enjoying that. And then we do wrestling, right? We've got an eBay store. And so I actually started DJing when I was like 14 years old.
Yep.
Bought my first sound system and loved it. So I would DJ junior high dances and high school dances, and that kind of morphed into DJing for pro wrestling, right? So that was my first in behind the scenes. Of course, I set up the chairs and I set up the ring and those types of things, but DJing really has been with me almost all my life. It's been really good to me. It allowed me to pay for training. It has taken me to weddings and all over. So when I met you at Madhouse, we were actually DJing a birthday party about 30 minutes south. So my wife and son and I, we did a 5K in the morning. And if you know me, 5K is probably never in my cards, but started the 5K in the morning and it went pretty good, actually. Then we went home, got cleaned up, jumped in the ring trailer, came down. Actually, I think we set up the DJ party first. And then we came up and set the ring up. Then we went back and did the party. Then we came back and tore down. So anyways, no, life's good. I love having my hand in a bunch of different jars, and makes life interesting. You meet a lot of different people and you get to experience a lot of cool things. But you do get...
Oh, I'll tell you what. Hey, what's up, Jesse and Softcast and Mr. Mike Malice Morgan? I'll tell you what. It's amazing. If anyone ever has that chance to jump into the DJ world, doing mobile DJ and all that stuff, it's pretty crazy how the ball can get rolling once you get into that world. Because it's the same thing for me. It started with that, and it just opened door after door after door to where I'm at now. And it's a fun ride, and you do meet a lot of fun, crazy people and have great times. He must be watching you on the Cuck Show. Okay. I'm assuming Tommy. But
a little bit, yeah.
all this stuff, like all that stuff gets you ready and prepared for bigger things, because I've helped run some bigger events, and you, sir, have got one of the biggest coming up here this weekend down. I want to make sure I'm saying this right, Austin, because I'm not great with every town. Is it Ottawa?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you. It's Ottumwa, but you would be correct, because I have heard about 13 different. I didn't know there were 13 different options for Ottumwa, but I've heard Ottumwa, I've heard Ottawa, I've heard last year it was Ottumwa, Idaho. Somebody said it was Idaho. So
perfect.
All over the board. It starts with an O, and it's Bridge City Slam, and it's this Saturday in Ottumwa, Iowa. So it'll all be good. I can't wait. Incredible card. I've been it's almost like a kid, really. I've been working on this for like 9 months, and
Jesus,
it's about time to deliver, and that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
And then once you do, you're on this emotional roller coaster for 9 months, and you kind of have to start backwards. You got to spend all of your money 9 months ago, and then you have to hustle sponsors, and then you have to hope that people want to buy a ticket. And so you're on this emotional roller coaster, and when you're talking financial roller coaster, that's kind of scary, right? Especially when the money's out forever ago. So then you get to like a week from today, and I will just randomly, mentally, my mind will just be shot. I'll be happy. I'll miss it. I'll jump on Facebook, and now people won't be talking about my show. They'll be talking about the show the next weekend, and it's quite a thing to come down from, because you're at this ultimate high. People traveling last year, I forget, but we had somewhere between 15 and 20 states represented at Bridge City Slam. Met so many people. And then you just come back to farming. Then back out your eBay, then you got to go and coach Little League Baseball. And it's tough for me mentally right now. I have so many things going on, and I'm trying to maintain that excitement. And, no, it's good. It's very good. I wouldn't want it any other way, and very lucky that this is the 5th year that people have believed in us to allow us to put on a pretty good show like this. Kurt Angle, headliner, right? So I started running shows when I was 18 years old. That was about 2006. So, fast forward to 2023, I've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs and small shows and big shows, but I've never had Kurt Angle. So,
Right. Where's
pretty,
the so you're talking about Kurt Angle right now, but like let's go all the way back for where does the love and passion for pro wrestling begin for Austin?
well, I was so late 90s. I was a huge Chicago Bulls fan. And Michael retired, man. He got that three-peat, and he retired. So as a kid from Iowa, your pro sports team was the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
So when MJ left and Pip left and Rodman left, what are you going to do, right? So a buddy of mine, we were playing basketball one night, and a buddy of mine said, hey, want to come over and watch wrestling? So I went over to his house. I watched wrestling with him, fell in love with it. It was actually 6 days before Owen Hart passed away. So about this time in 1999. And then so Owen passed away. I loved the first show. I could not believe that Triple H locked The Rock inside of a casket and then beat it up with a sledgehammer. I mean, then they opened up the casket backstage and The Rock is all bloody, and Stone Cold raised the Undertaker on the symbol. It was crazy. It hooked me. It was so much fun. And then Owen died. And in a really weird way, Owen's death hooked me on wrestling. And I probably need to explain that one. So I'm an only child, and fifth grade at this time, 1999, I felt like I needed someplace to belong, right? Sports start to get competitive at that point in time, and the basketball thing wasn't really working out with me. The football thing wasn't working out for me. But wrestling, so Owen passes away, and you see all this heart within the wrestling community and all of this emotion poured out into one guy. And it seemed like one giant family. That's really weird, but that got me. That emotion got me. Fell in love with it. I wrote for websites when I was in junior high. I reviewed shows. I recapped shows on Saturday nights. I was a wrestling nerd. I was all in. I loved it. And always have had an entrepreneurial aspect to me, the DJing at a very young age. So I go to just east of Knoxville, where I met you guys,
Mm-hmm.
probably an hour east is this small little rundown town called Delta, Iowa. And I lived about 30 minutes east from there, and I saw a poster for an IPW show in Delta, Iowa. And I knew where it was. And tickets were affordable. And I was in high school. And so a bunch of my buddies and we went to the show, and I'll never forget it. We're pulling into this town. And while I knew where it was, I was not very familiar with it. So it's February. We pull in, and it's snowy. The snow's melting. And the main streets in this town are like dirt rock roads.
Oh, geez.
So we pull up to the building, and there's snow everywhere. You're like parking on the streets. You're afraid you're going to get hit. They're pretty sketchy town, really. And gravel, dirt, mud. We go and we stand in line, and this building has broken windows, and it just looks like, what the heck, right? But I don't see that for a rundown area. I see that as hopefully my Madison Square Garden as a fan. You could hear the music standing outside waiting to get in. You came in, and there was insulation falling from the ceiling. There were people peeing in the men's restroom sink. It was just perfect, It was wrestling, and I was around wrestling. I loved it. Fell in love with it at 99. We fast forward 5 years, and there I am. That was my big time. And so at the end of the show, I did everything I could to find anybody that resembled somebody with power, right? What would it take for me to get involved? And a guy by the name of Mike Ingebrigtsen said, come back the next time we're in town, and you can help set up the ring. So I said, sweet, I'll be here. Can't wait. So I never asked about what time. I never had a phone number. I mean, we're talking like MySpace time frame here. So I didn't know who these people were. I got to the building that next show at like 8 a.m. This is the time, right? Like I'm ready to. Those sorry sons of a gun didn't show up until like late afternoon. So I'm set sketch town waiting and waiting, but it's fine. It's my perfect. And we helped set up the ring, or I helped set up the ring and enjoyed another show. And I kept coming back. And then I started doing video production for them. I started DJing for them. Started kind of doing everything for them. And when people started to realize that this little guy from the area was passionate about it, they kind of took me under their wing, and they started getting me in the ring. And we made a deal to train at the Vault in Algona. And in about late 2005, I had my first match. And the neat thing about my situation was I went to school nearby. So all of my friends came out to support me.
Nice.
They didn't
Oh, yeah.
if it was Royal. They didn't care if it was a Royal, they came out to support because it was new. It was different. It was rural Iowa. Everybody was looking for something to do. So Troy and Travis and all of the wrestlers, they liked me and they wanted to work with me because I brought butts, right? People bought tickets to come to see me. And that was a phenomenal opportunity for me to take advantage of, because I would find myself in title matches, right? Now, I didn't stand a chance, but it didn't matter. My friends were coming out to see me, and we entertained them, and we had a good time. And so I started wrestling everywhere, and life was rocking and rolling. I went off to college, and again, always with the entrepreneurial mindset, I bought a ring and started up CEW in 2007. And man, time's flown. That's half my life ago.
Yeah.
Almost half of my life ago at this point in time, but I'll be 36 here in a couple of months. And the wrestling has taken me so many places. And it's kind of, so you said when you first met me, you had to make sure it was me. And in a weird way, like we see each other through Facebook, we see each other through social media and comments and that type of stuff. We almost feel like we know each other. Right? Wrestling allows us to be a family through social media, and you might be in Wisconsin, you might be in Minnesota, but it's weird how that works, and I'm so happy it works that way.
Yeah.
Well, Austin, I gotta let you know, just to critique your story a little bit, most of Iowa is either run down or just not developed enough. So I don't know if you are aware of that at all, but
just a disclaimer, I'm on dial-up internet out here, so if I lose you, I make sure that nobody's picked up the phone and disconnect service.
This is exactly what I'm talking about right there.
Mom, I'm on the internet. Well, let's dive into this, man. Bridge City Slam. You've been going at it. June 3rd, this weekend. It is at the Bridgeview Center. Fan Fest at 4. Wrestling show at 7. Tickets $20. Ticketmaster. Guys, look at this. You got Kurt Angle. You got Deborah and the Puppies. You got Bob Orton. You got Jimmy Hart. I mean, you have to say it. It's Earl Hebner. Look at these legends that are going to be in attendance, and you have a chance to meet. And a lot of these people are really great people too, so that's an even bigger plus. Kurt Angle, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Such a great guy. So that's huge. But you also mentioned Friday night. I want to get into this a little bit before we get into the actual show. The Hall of Fame part. Now, when did that all become a thing for you guys where you started doing a Hall of Fame?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've always enjoyed is the behind the scenes aspect of everything. I like to know how things work. And you find out in wrestling that, especially as you get older and the longer you're around it, people behind the scenes really don't get that recognition. And in a lot of situations, those people behind the scenes are the ones that are there with you forever. They see this in 2007 and they're still there in 2023. Wrestlers kind of come and go. You have some that have been here forever, but one of the things that I felt was important to me and what we were doing, someday we won't be doing this. And I think it's important for the families that are letting their loved one leave for the weekend to come entertain in Ottumwa or Oskaloosa for CEW. I think it's cool for them down the road to be able to look back and see that video of their dad becoming a CEW Hall of Famer. And you see some of those behind the scenes photos that I don't share with anybody else, too many times it's just the wrestler. But even as a wrestler, when you're done, it's just kind of forgotten, right? It's just memory. So I want to figure out a way that we could pay tribute to the people that have dedicated a lot of blood, sweat, and even some tears to Central Empire Wrestling. We started with Donnie Peppercricket. Donnie was the first guy that I ever booked. And he gave me a business card. He was the first guy I ever called. And phenomenal person to be inducted in the CEW Hall of Fame. He met his wife at a CEW show.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat deal, So now he's got a couple of kiddos, and CEW was really the beginning of a bigger story for him. So Evan Jordan was the first person that I trained. He was the second inductee into the CEW Hall of Fame. That meant a lot to me. He's my kid. He was my everything when CEW had nothing. He was the first fan favorite. He was the first guy that really helped sell out some houses for us. So now he's got a couple of kiddos that weren't really old enough to remember his wrestling days, but they come to the shows. They remember their dad getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's just special. Axel Grease lived in Northwest Iowa, and he packed up everything that he had and he moved to our family's apartment complex in Washington to be closer to CW. So, his life really changed, and he invested everything that he had in Central Empire Wrestling. Pretty cool, and I think that story needs to be told. You don't necessarily have the time to tell everybody, but when it comes to the CW Hall of Fame, I'm proud that he's in it. So this year, COVID kind of threw us off. I was the first one in 2018. We did one in 19 and one in 20 probably, and then COVID kind of just readjusted everything. So I wanted Bridge City Slam weekend to be more than just a show. And I've always wanted it to be a destination for wrestling fans. So what a better place than Bridge City Slam weekend when we're in a facility that allows, it's a beautiful facility. It's an arena. It's got the conference rooms. It's got everything set up. Let's invite the fans in. Let's invite the families in. Let's invite anybody that wants to appreciate pro wrestling and honoring it. Let's invite them in the night before. We'll have dinner. We'll talk about it. Have a little happy hour and just celebrate getting together. So this year, I've wanted to do this for a very long time and induct my mom and dad. That might sound kind of funky. That might sound kind of weird. But the truth of the matter is, guys, in 2007, I had nothing. My mom, I didn't have $70. My mom paid $70 to rent the venue for the first time, right? And I didn't have a trailer. We used my dad's hay rack to haul the ring. We didn't have any money. We ordered new padding, and to save some money, we had the padding shipped to a restaurant because it was cheaper. So then we used my family's vehicles to go pick this up and go everywhere. My dad has sold tickets at the door for practically every show since 2007. He's helped me build rings. My mom sold merchandise. It's really been for me personally, something that I've always wanted to do. And I think this year is a perfect time for that. Brian and Crystal Inman, they have been there since the beginning. They have a pretty, how do I say this? Well, I'll let you summarize it. Brian and Crystal Inman are some of the first people that are at every show. And at the end of the night, they're picking up cigarette butts that are left all around the building on the outside. It takes a lot of loyalty to be doing that since 2007. And I guess I'm not envious of that. So there's so many, they became good personal friends of our family, and very excited to honor them this Friday night. And then a mutual friend that we have, our buddy Zach Takis over at Shotgun Wrestling Radio, him and Zach Grigg, they were phenomenal to me. I can't tell you how many times I needed somebody to talk to, and they said, "Hey, we got Shotgun Wrestling Radio. You want to talk wrestling for an hour?" And then, unfortunately for them, probably it turned into like 2 hours of talking wrestling. But it's been good, man. Zach's been very loyal to me. He's done commentary over the years, and just a good friend. When COVID happened, I don't know about you guys, but when COVID happened, I didn't keep in touch with a lot of people. Zach still reached. And
Yeah.
You remember the people that are like, "Hey, how's it going? I miss you." Sean Nautilus is one of my early students that I trained back in about 2007, 2008. And, big, huge guy. I'll never forget his journey. Incredible, gifted athlete, did so many incredible things with CEW. He will be inducted into the CEW Hall of Fame, along with probably, in recent years, the biggest fan favorite that we've had, Storm Thomas. Tony and I went to college together. He didn't want to do wrestling. He was a college football player, and I begged him and begged him and begged him, and he got into pro wrestling. And man, just what a lucky guy to have the career that he's had. And so he will be going into the CW Hall of Fame. I think it's neat because Tony's from Florida, and his family is coming up for this.
Nice.
And Sean's family is coming for this. Zach's family is coming for this. Of course, my family's there. The Inman family will be coming. And, it goes back to day one of just wanting to pay tribute and bring the families in, make sure that everybody knows that their time away from home is greatly appreciated at CEW.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. Zach's a good friend. He's always around. I think we talk pretty regularly, like weekly. And him and Zigman were the first Iowa friends I had from coming down for the Luthez George Tregus Hall of Fame weekend. So yeah, that's very cool that you do that. I very much respect that. That's exciting for all of them. And that goes down Friday night, same location.
Yep. Bridgeview Center. Conference rooms. I think conference rooms 1 and 2. Very easy to find. You come in through the Bridgeview Center. You're going to look up in the lobby. You're going to look up and you're going to see this massive, amazing Bridge City Slam poster hanging from the rafters. I love it. And you're in the right place. So, can't wait to see you guys. We've got 7 tickets left. We're almost sold out.
Hey, get them.
Yeah.
Get them, everybody.
So
running out of time. Let's start running through some of these matches because you have a Hall of Fame. You have an amazing fan fest with some great legends, but you also have a solid wrestling show to cap all this off. So these are in no particular order, Austin. So I'm going to just pop it up and you can kind of just get into it with us. We'll start with this one. All right, here we got the singles match. Coda. Now, I'm not familiar who he's wrestling. You're going to have to kind of bring some of these names in for me.
Yep. Nope. So Minnesota wrestling fans will recognize Coda Jacobs from MAW. MAW is bringing Coda down as a sponsoring partner. Coda has been a part of a couple of Bridge City Slams previously, and he's taking on Atumwa's own JP Harlow. A little bit about JP. JP is sponsored by Ideal Ready Mix. JP grew up in the Ottumwa area. His mom's a teacher nearby and loves wrestling. And he actually went up and trained with Nick Dinsmore. So I met JP. He came down to do a training seminar with Hardcore Holly and Mr. Anderson at the second Bridge City Slam. And we kind of kept in touch. Then he moved down to Florida. He moved down to Texas and trained with Booker T at Reality of Wrestling, I believe. And then now he is under the learning tree of Thunder Rosa. So when you look at somebody that needs to be a part of Bridge City Slam, you try to look around and see, hey, is there anybody from Ottumwa, right? And here's our guy. So JP's coming up. He might already actually be back in Iowa. I know he wrestles all the time down in Texas. It's a big place, a lot of places to wrestle. So he comes back once a year to wrestle here. For many of his family members, it's the only time they get to see him. So they get to see him and they get to see him wrestle. So pretty excited to have him back. Coda Jacobs is that crooked politician that everybody hates, and JP is that hometown boy that everybody loves. So hey, it doesn't get much easier than that. It's Iowa, and it's caucus season. So, right?
Yep. There we go. It's going to be a good one. We've seen Coda a few times up here around Minnesota. So that'll be a fun match. Let's go to the next one here. Again, no order, but Brian Gott returns and a mystery opponent.
So I trained Brian Gott back in probably 2008, 2009 timeframe. Brian and I had a phenomenal working relationship for many, many years. And hey, like we all do, we kind of get tired, right? We get burnt out, and Brian wanted to step away from wrestling. And so in 2018, Brian said, I think 2018, maybe 2019. Anyways, Brian said, hey, I need some time off, and I'm going to retire from wrestling. So we gave Brian a beautiful send-off, and there he went. So Brian's been gone for 5 years from CEW. He's originally from Oskaloosa. He's still so we've ran shows in Oskaloosa since 2007. Oskaloosa is about 20 minutes north of Ottumwa, so it's still very much his community. His family's around there, and they're excited to see him. They've been asking for him. Brian's been wrestling for a little bit. He hasn't been setting out everything for 5 years, but yeah, we're excited for that's a feel good story for us. Anytime I can have one of my kids, one of my boys, one of my originals come back, when you've been doing this for 18 years, you meet a lot of people, you see a lot of faces, and some of them you don't see the whole time. So I'm looking forward to having Brian back. It'll be good. And if you know Brian, I think he's done some stuff. I saw him at Madhouse, where we reconnected here about a month ago, and one thing led to another, and now he's wrestling a mystery opponent at Bridge City Slam this Saturday night.
No idea, no clue who it may be.
I don't. And that's the magic behind it. I think Brian's good enough to take whatever's thrown at him. And after 5 years, you're gonna come prepared. Brian's good.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. This one though, guys, I gotta say the Iowa Showcase match. Brought to you by Rad and our good friend Clint Dye, Tag Team Photography. Both of these men, former guest of the 2 Count.
Correct.
Both of these men can kill it in the ring, so this is going to be a good one to watch. And then you got Mr. Hebner making sure it all is on the up and up. Jossie taking on AJ Smooth.
Now, can I wager on this one or no? Can I put some money down on who's winning this one? Because
that's a dangerous wager.
It is, because I respect both these men highly, but in my heart of hearts, I'm thinking Jossie is winning.
All right.
Look at that.
So this is the wild card, right? Earl Hebner, the man in the middle, the man that bona fide Hall of Famer. He's a difference maker. He's not just the ref; he is the ref. So, I think that's a tough match to wager on. Jossie was on WrestleMania this year. Did you see that?
Yeah,
we did. Yeah, we popped a little bit for that. That's for sure. We had to watch along for Saturday night at Ace's place, and we all kind of lost it a little bit. Like, I know Jossie. That's Jossie.
Yeah, man. He's an easy one to recognize. Good looking dude. I mean, at the top of his game. He was at Bridge City 1 and 2.
Nice.
And great to have him back at Bridge City Slam 5. AJ Smooth. AJ Smooth. I'm not honestly positive. I think he's wrestled for me before. Maybe in the very, very early days. So Anthony, AJ Smooth actually trained 1 year ahead of me. So in my early days, I spent a lot of time around him and looked up to him, so it's good now that we've both gotten older to still kind of be hanging out. And it'll be good. And Clint, a Tag Team Photography, man, what a guy, what a friend. Close personal friend of mine that I'm going to be bugging here pretty soon for a bunch of photos. Yeah, it's great to have Tag Team on board as a sponsor and Radpad Turnbuckles as a sponsor for this. Should be a fun match. This was a match that Clint and I kind of talked about for a little while, and it always sounded good, but once you threw Earl Hebner into the mix, it's like, what's going to happen? Actually, we had reverse psychology on this. We said we're not going to wager who's going to win. This could be a wild one. So, and Earl, I'll tell you a little bit about Earl real fast. He was scheduled to be on our show last September in Oskaloosa. I saw Earl and his daughter out in New Jersey, and Earl looked a little rough. Didn't look very good. And I went up to him and I talked to him, and he said he was excited to be at my show, a few weeks later, but he lifted up his shirt and scars all over his chest. He had just had some open heart surgery, and he says, "What are you going to have? Am I reffing?" And we had already talked about this, but I reminded him, yes. And he said, well, he lifts up his shirt and showed me. And so you start watching him, you start watching. I'm sitting right next to him for most of the next few hours. And I talked to Bushwhacker Luke, and Luke says, you can't have him at that. He needs to be home and resting. And his daughter said, hey, is anybody going to be around him? And in this particular situation, no, he'd fly into Des Moines and he'd be at a hotel by himself. And so I reached out to some of my peers and his wife, Earl's wife, and we decided mutually that it would be best if we waited for Earl to get healthier. So I saw Earl 2 weeks ago, and he's phenomenal, and he's excited to ring the bell. So we're gonna get the best Earl that we could get. And that's cool. That's something to smile about, because he loves wrestling. He's impacted the wrestling industry tremendously. And this Saturday night, he's going to ring that bell.
Yeah.
Now, can you ask him a question for me? Does he believe that Brett screwed Brett, or how does that all work?
I'll ask him. Yeah, you're gonna bump Amina Belmont next week. You're gonna have Earl on. How's that? He'll answer that for you live here on 2 Count.
I'm going to still send her the link so she could do a run-in, though, on Earl, because that would be hilarious, that tiny little thing. No, I'll tell you what, yeah, it's going to be great to see Earl ring that bell, and he's going to get to be in the ring with 2 tremendous talents in Jossie and AJ Smooth. We're going to get to your the next match here. Let's do this one. Our friend and the mysterious Saint is going to be making an appearance at Bridge City Slam. Let me ask you actually real quick. I got to ask you about this, because I've been seeing this all week, maybe 2 weeks now. There's some guy who keeps bugging you on the social medias, and I know him, and I have no problems with him. I like him, the Lone Diamond, but man, has he been lighting you up all week or two about Bridge City Slam? I mean, you might have to have some lookout for this guy outside the building that night. I'm just saying.
Dude, you got to peek into my DMs someday.
No, thank you.
Hey.
I say that to everybody.
Yeah. So I surely can't be the only promoter that gets some of these messages. It's wild. It's really wild. And the difference, well, I don't know. The difference is here, he's kind of shown it to the whole world, where usually I just see the crazy. And yeah, I don't know that I would go about things the way that he's going about things. But I actually, here's the crazy part. I met him last summer. I was on a handful of shows with him. We didn't work each other. We didn't wrestle each other. But like, I remember him shaking my hand and, like talking to me. And then I remember being pretty entertained actually by him. This is crazy that I'm talking about this, but then I remember watching Miss Frankie J just absolutely whoop him on like every county fair show that we were on. It was fantastic. It was really good. But all right, so I have so many things going. It's hard for me to like respond to everybody. And so Zach Takis actually runs a lot of my social media. And Zach tell me, hey, so-and-so messaged you, so-and-so messaged you. And it's like, I can't keep up with it, So this dude's been messaging. And he didn't know who I was, but we met, right? This is classic. This is the things you deal with as a wrestling promoter. So anyway, Jackson King, there you go. What a guy.
What a guy, yeah. And like I said, I wouldn't sell him one of those 7 tickets that are left. We got a grudge match right here, Saint, and you'll have to forgive me. I am unfamiliar with the opponent here, so
Jared Thumb, man. Come on,
is
dude.
that
He's pointing himself with the thumb.
I know I didn't do my. I've been golfing all weekend, guys.
Boo.
All weekend. I was in birthday mode. I did not. Yeah, I'm still barely awake right now. But I'm very excited to see this, and brought to you by Shotgun Wrestling. And I cannot. Is it
Rule and Rule Realtor?
Okay. I didn't want to missay it because it's really tiny on my screen, and my eyes are already bad.
Bridget Wiedekind. So,
There you go.
yep, I can run through this one a little bit with you. So, let me tell you a little bit about Jared. Jared's a good friend of mine. Jared did that same training camp. Actually, he came the year before, and Jared was a student in the Trevor Murdoch training camp, and at Bridge City Slam 1, and I didn't book him after that. I mean, I'd never booked him, but he came and he did that camp, and then so he tells this story that he would come to some shows and he would help set up the ring, and I would always be like, hey buddy, like I never had anything, but he was training with Black and Brave out of the Davenport area. So Jared's from Muscatine. And then he kind of disappeared for a while. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't know why he disappeared. I didn't know why he wasn't coming. Jared was battling cancer. And so he stepped away from wrestling and fought it, kicked its ass, and got back into it. And when he got back into it, he came back to CW. And one of his biggest advocates is CW champion JT Energy. JT said, hey, this guy's really good, and I think he would do really well for CW. I think he fits what you're doing. So Jared came back, got his first booking, and I don't think he's missed one since. He's been very loyal to me. We've been good buddies. We get together outside of wrestling and our personal life. And so, yeah, Jared's got an incredible story and tough guy. So Damian Saint, kind of a loose cannon, kind of a weirdo, kind of an unpredictable guy that we first met during COVID. So I don't know if you remember, but when COVID happened, it shut down the world, and every wrestling company was trying to figure out how they survived. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies couldn't figure that out. And we came up with this vision called CW Power Slam, which was essentially in one of our properties. I took the pipe and drape, and we put the pipe and drape up around the walls, and we set the ring up, and we had some lights from the ceiling, and we filmed, I want to say we filmed 8 episodes, 2 seasons of CW Power Slam. So during that time, we did empty arena matches, right? 30-minute episodes, really good stuff, guys. It really was. We did that first season. It was in like August, and it was hot as balls. So hot inside this building, no air. The floor, the cement on the floor was sweating. We hadn't seen each other for quite a while, so we're all wearing masks, and there were 9 of us. I'm going to have my fingers out here, and I probably won't be able to name all 9, but we had a ring announcer that also ran video camera. We had a sound guy. We had a referee. We had JT Energy, Rory Fox, Tim Rhodes, Jared Thumb, me, and then here's our last guy that I'm forgetting. But we had 9 guys put together an absolutely incredible season 1 for Power Slam. We got to know Jared even more. And then we introduced Damian Saint. Damian Saint at the end of season 2, he came in and we'd been building up to this big triple threat championship match. Everybody was taking their picks, was it going to be Rory? Was it going to be Jared? Was it going to be JT? And lo and behold, this guy shows up that we've never seen before. We had teasers for him, you know. It was so neat. Clint Dye was the ninth. Clint was a photographer, so it was actually like a show.
Nice.
Like yeah, it was so much. I mean, man, we missed each other so much, and wrestling was so weird for us at that time. But we were all just really trying, you know, trying hard. We put together some great shows, but Damian Saint ruined that last show. And ever since then, he's been feuding with Jared Thumb. So we're talking like 3 years on and off over singles matches, over tag team matches. And I don't know. I think they're both ready to move on to the next level. I know as a promoter, I'm ready to take them to new heights. So here it is. This is the one. This is the only grudge match at Bridge City Slam 5 this Saturday night. Damian Saint on one side, Jared Thumb on the other, and then they're going to switch, and they're going to go all over everywhere, I think. So, yeah, you're going to enjoy that one. Jared Thumb, CW fan favorite, really coming into his own, and Damian Saint looking to come back with some retribution and really do what he's always promised to do in CW, and that's take over.
Got a fight on your hands Saturday night. Let's get to this next one. I'm kind of leaving these title matches for last. We got a 6-man tag team match, and I mean, first of all, you already got Cowboy Bob Orton in it, so wow, Hall of Famer, legendary guy right there, going to be involved. And then let's run through the rest of these guys, Austin, and let's see what this is about.
Yeah, so let's start with Attila Khan, Kurt Gannon, and the Candyman. So Attila Khan, I met him out in Las Vegas. Just what a presence this guy has. He's based out of the St. Louis area. Has wrestled for SICW, Herb Simmons, SICW, out of the southern Illinois area. And what a presence. The guy's got creepy eyeballs.
Yeah, he does.
Kind of like a blood wrestler, and I'm not much of a blood hunter guy. I'm not a blood guy at all, actually, but this guy is. So you add him to the mix, and it changes the game. The Candyman, don't know if you've seen him, but what a creeper, right?
Yeah.
A staple of Bridge City Slam. We actually have a group of 3 guys that they travel to Bridge City Slam every year to see this guy. So very entertaining, very creepy, very weird. Perfect to be teamed up with the weird Attila Khan. And then we've got Kurt Gannon, who has really kind of struggled to find himself in CW. He was on Bridge City Slam 2 and 3 and did singles matches, and sometimes people liked him, sometimes they didn't. Last September, he was wrestling Clay Cooper, and Clay Cooper did a moonsault or something, and when he landed on Gannon tore his bicep, tricep, he got all screwed up. So we haven't seen Kurt Gannon since then. So this is his first opportunity back in CEW. And then when you look on the other side, you know, everybody in this match really has a redemption story, in my opinion. The Candyman has kind of been in and out of CEW some. Kurt Gannon has been injury prone. Attila Khan wasn't able to he was supposed to wrestle JT Energy in the main event. And then something came up personally, health-wise for him, and he wasn't able to be there. But then you look on the other side of the team. Storm Thomas retired from wrestling and stepped away for 9 months. I truly believe, he retired at Bridge City Slam last year. We had a phenomenal match together. And I truly believe that he thought he was done. And then Rory Fox, about that same time, injured himself. He tore. I don't remember exactly what it was in his quad or something, but Rory's leg got screwed up, and then he was healing, and it didn't heal right, so he had to have a second surgery.
Oh.
So instead of being out for 4 or 5 months, Rory's out for a year. So Rory's coming back, Tony's coming back. Bob Orton's like 70-some years old, man. I mean, he's done it. He's had that broken arm forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, Bob's no spring chicken, and so you see a lot of these guys, and I think, you know, for CEW, when you talk about a legend show, these are 6 legends, right? Some of them we've got to know better than others, but we know they all have a presence. They all have their spot in Bridge City Slam history. in pro wrestling history. So I think this is a fun 6-man. Bob Orton teamed with Storm Thomas and TJ Wilt a year ago in a 6-man, and it was my favorite match of the year.
Nice.
It was just okay. So let me tell you about Bob Orton. So Bob Orton, he's got curly gray hair, and he's got red trunks that he wears, and he's got pasty white legs. And when his music hits, he's got a big smile, right? And he comes out, and you can just tell he's having fun. And to me, that's a magical moment, because a lot of guys at his age that have done the things that he's done, they don't come out and do that anymore. And Bob never gave it up. And I think that's really magical for all of us, whether we're promoting or whether we're doing a podcast. Hey man, it doesn't matter if you're not tan anymore. It doesn't matter if your hair is now gray. If you still love it, keep smiling. Try to figure out how to stay involved. And Bob's doing that. So this Saturday, come out and meet him. I think that's really cool. So many of these people do step out of the limelight, and I don't know. It's weird, but for me, on a personal level, when Bob's music hits and he comes out, it's like, that's awesome. That's right. And I think that resonates with people. I actually, we have fans of all ages. We'll have little kids, but we'll have some elderly people there too. And some of the elderly people, they grew up watching him when they were little kids, and so when I remember watching him when they were young, and now they know, hey, we're not young anymore. But Bob's still doing it. I know we sold 2 tickets to some people last year when he came, just because they remembered watching him at Vets Auditorium.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He was still doing it. They wanted to come and get a picture with him. And so, this is cool, man. I'm a fan of wrestling.
Yeah.
I promote wrestling because I'm a fan of it, because I love it. I'm talking to you because I can't talk enough about wrestling. It's all good for me. It's fun. I'm passionate about it. But then when you have these neat stories like that, the 6-man tag is a lot of fun for me. So I hope it's going to be a good one.
Oh, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Then we move into your tag team championship match. Give us the lowdown on this. What's the story behind this matchup?
Yeah. So, you know what one of my biggest pet peeves is in pro wrestling? Arm. So gross. Big Bad Wallace. Okay. Yeah, I know. Pet peeve. But tag team championship match. These two teams have been battling each other for about a year. Donnie and Wallace have been battling each other for longer than that. This needs to be the last one of these. Axel Grease with Big Bad Wallace and Rip Studwell always gets involved. But there is another manager in the house that night. Legendary Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, will be in the building. So hopefully this will be a good night for the good guys, right? And I'm just saying right now, before I renew their contracts, Big Bad Wallace and Rip Stud will have to shave their armpits moving forward. I know that's a weird thing, but these big beefy guys, and then all of a sudden they throw their arms up and it looks like forest under there. It's crazy. It's horrible. So Donnie CW Hall of Famer, we talked about that earlier. The first guy I ever booked, a good friend of mine. He's got a lot of history in CW, but he's also got internet. I'm here.
Okay.
No, the dial-up is still there. Somebody called me, man. I ignored it. I don't want to talk to him right now. Not home. So, tag team titles. Iceman and Donnie go way back. They have a phenomenal history together. And Big Bad. So I don't know how much you know of Rip Studwell. Rip Studwell also trained at Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. A little guy, man, real small. Always bringing those 2-pound dumbbells to the ring, and classic fools, right there.
It looks like it's going to be a good matchup, though. I actually got to work with Donnie at Absolute earlier this year, and that was my first time seeing him in person. So that was a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun in the ring. Very enjoyable. That's a big tag team match. And then I'm assuming main event, it is for the CEW championship, and it's a steel cage match. How fun is that?
How many steel cage matches have you seen live?
Not enough, really.
Not enough. And I mean, specifically at this level, at the independent level, none. One.
Yeah. So I had 2 goals for this year. The first was a Royal Rumble match. We did that in March. And that might sound kind of goofy, but fans have been asking for it for so long. And so we did a 17-year anniversary Rumble where we brought people back from the last 17 years. And my second goal was a steel cage match at Bridge City Slam. So how do we get there? How did we get there? How are we where we are at now? Well, quick version, Niles Planquet, big villain in CW, beat Jared Thumb in March to advance to the main event of Bridge City Slam. Jay Fowler defeated the Candyman to advance to the main event of Bridge City Slam. And JT Energy defeated Storm Thomas to advance to the main event. So what I've told you is we've got a triple threat match. And Niles Planck attacked Fowler with the cage at that show in March. And we set up for the cage match very nicely. And then Niles Planck had some personal things arise, and Niles Planck will not be there this Saturday night. So kind of bummed about that because it was finally going to be his time where, you know, Buns and JT Energy, Mr. Bridge City Slam, JT Energy, they took it to him. And he deserves that, and he has it coming. So he escaped it. And the plan of the cage was he wasn't going to be able to escape. So here we are, singles match. And CW fans will remember that for many years, the Buns of Steel and JT Energy, they had the battle of the booty, right? So 2-3 years ago, these were the butt guys, right? So you remember Joey Ryan, he was the other guy. But then you had the opposite. You had the 6-star booty, JT Energy, and you had a very young Buns of Steel, Jay Fowler. And so they were both doing their thing, and we had matches between the two of them. We were the first people to do it, the Battle of the Booty, we called it. And it's, you know, on a personal level, I trained Jay Fowler when he first began. Justin was from Oskaloosa, and so it was perfect. He trained with CW. And he went on to be Superfly for a very long time in CW, did his thing. He was a huge fan favorite. Bridge City Slam 2, Superfly is wrestling in the opening match. It was Buns of Steel at that point, but Buns of Steel is wrestling on the pre-show. And so for somebody that had given so much of their career to CW to be wrestling on the pre-show of the biggest show ever, that's pretty disheartening, right? It's very sad. So he comes back after the match, and we talk in the locker room, and he says, "Hey, I think I'm going to step away from CW and go elsewhere." And I agreed with that. I thought that was a good opportunity for both of us. He's one of those guys that did keep in touch with me during COVID, and now look at him, right? He's done so many things. Thank God he left. And I mean that in a positive. It's not a bad thing necessarily when somebody walks away. So now he's coming back, and he's the man, and he's the champion everywhere, and he's wrestling for our championship. He's never been a champion here before, but he's squaring off against Mr. Bridge City Slam, a guy that's been in the ring with Jerry Lawler and Eric Rowan here, undefeated at Bridge City Slam. He's the longest reigning CW champion of all time. Steel cage match this Saturday night. I think that's a toss-up too. I think that's again, that was my bucket list match for this year. So sorry if I'm getting a little wordy out there, buddy. Love having you on. Love telling my story too.
Hell yeah.
So it's a good thing. These guys have meant a lot to me. They've meant a lot to the fans. And so we're just trying to make sure that we get everything in. And I hope you'll join us this Saturday night. Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. We've got a phenomenal fan fest from 4 to 7. The best part about this is the fan fest is free. A $20 ticket gets you into the show. Any ticket gets you into the fan fest for free, right? So, of course, then there's a la carte things. You can do meet and greets with this person or that person, but you don't have to. $20 gets you a phenomenal evening of live professional wrestling in Iowa. So would love to see you there. Would love to have your support.
Be there, everybody. Again, this Saturday night, the Bridgeview Center show at 7, Fan Fest at 4. Look, there's even a QR code. I will leave this up for another little bit. Get that QR code, and it'll tell you more. And then also make sure you go online and check out Central Empire Wrestling and follow them and everything they have going on for the future, because like Austin said, already almost sold out. So in case you can't make it this year because they ran out of tickets, which might happen, keep up to date for next year's big event, and all the other great shows they're going to do up until then. So make sure you guys follow them. This is going to be a really great weekend for wrestling fans. It really is. Again, with your legends there too: Earl Hebner, Jimmy Hart, Bob Orton, Deborah, Kurt Angle, all going to be there. Man, it just doesn't get any better. And then you have a solid card of matches, the Hall of Fame. You're doing some really cool stuff, Austin, for all the wrestling fans in the Midwest, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And for me, this was inspired 5 years ago when wrestling fans told me, hey, they wished bigger events happened in Iowa. Why don't we ever get a pay-per-view? Why don't we ever get to meet our favorite wrestlers? And so this is my opportunity to give back to pro wrestling in Iowa. It's also my opportunity to bring it to my son. My son's 8.
Oh, nice.
He's getting to meet these people. My wife loves wrestling. I love wrestling. So it's for me too, man. I'm still a fan. I've never given that part of it up. So I enjoy it. And do me a favor, come out, take some pictures, enjoy some wrestling, get some autographs, have a good time, man. This you never know when it's over.
Right?
It's over, so enjoy it while you can. So
anything else you want to promote, Austin, while you're here? Any upcoming stuff after this?
Sure. So we've got the 4th of July in Clinton, Iowa. That's our annual tradition show there that we do on the 4th of July. And I know you're not doing a show that day, so you're available, right? You're out of state, so you can't make it. But you, Big Ace, you're available. Come on down to Iowa, Clinton, Iowa, Northeast Iowa. Not a terrible drive for you. We're gonna have a good time. We always do there. Beautiful thing. The last match ends. You look up in the sky, and there's like 2 people parachuting from the sky with a big American flag. They land in the baseball field right next to us, singing the national anthem. It's an incredibly timed event. Love being there. Absolute fantastic 4th of July experience for my family, for Central Empire Wrestling. So it's free, guys. Totally free. Come on down. Have a good time, Clinton, Iowa. And there might be something on July 1st. I'm not quite sure. I haven't heard back from them. I don't have a signed contract on that, so I'm not going to go down that road and confuse people. But no, man, I think at this point I'm addicted to it. CEW's forever.
I love it.
We do 1 show, 2 shows, 22 shows a year. I don't really know what the future looks like, but Saturday looks like a lot of fun. Appreciate it while it's there. And thank you guys for your time. You've given me over an hour, and that's pretty awesome, man. Anytime you're looking for somebody to talk wrestling, I'd love to talk to you. I know I got so much more to say, but
we'll have you on where we actually just dive into like wrestling talk. We'll have you on an episode where we're not really pushing anything, so we can really just dive into some wrestling stuff. Because being we love getting geeking out with old time fans like us too. You know what I mean? Because we all kind of are generally that same area, so it's fun to see who was into what. Who like Tommy was a WCW guy. I didn't really watch a lot of it. I checked during the commercial breaks, but I always went back to Raw and JR was there at the beginning because he's like 90.
yeah.
But yeah, we will definitely have you back. Were you going to say something, Tom?
Oh, no, I was just going to say WCW for life, baby. But also, yeah, JR is also old as dirt. I know he would appreciate seeing Bob Orton on your show and stuff.
The funny thing is we were at Hall of Fame last year in Waterloo, and Bob Orton came up to our buddy JR, who's our third host, and literally was like, hey, man, do you know where I need to go? And he was just like, I don't know. And he walked away, and I was like, you know who that was, right? And he was like, I don't know, some old guy. And I'm like, yeah, but it was also Bob Orton. What? Why? I mean, I'm so he didn't have his hat on. Like had no idea. And the whole weekend he was like, I can't wait to meet Bob Orton.
Yeah.
Yep. What a tool.
Yeah. Hey, we're really spoiled as wrestling fans right now if you look at it. Whether you mentioned earlier MAW, they're doing phenomenal things. They've got people everywhere. And now I'm talking from a national perspective. Hey, the Midwest wasn't always this blessed to have this amount of talent. I've been at MAW shows in Minnesota and Wisconsin where they brought in, boom, crazy. You talk about Waterloo. Waterloo's coming up. I know you're going to be talking about that after you get done talking with me. As a wrestling fan, it's a really good time to be around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love 80s wrestling and I love the 90s, but they were not nearly as blessed to take a selfie with Kurt Angle this Saturday, or and their respect Hulk Hogan this Saturday, or any Saturday. But yeah, it's a good time to be alive. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate that. And I want to be respectful of that and let you guys get to whatever you're getting to after me. But I will see you on down the road.
Yes.
Take care. And until we meet again.
Thanks, Austin.
It is. Austin, thank you, sir. Good luck Saturday. We know it's going to be great. And we'll be at one of the shows soon here. So we can't wait for that.
Awesome. Have a good night, guys. I'm going to leave
you
you.
easy.
Too.
Have a good night, listening. Take care.
Later, buddy. All right. That's going to be one hell of a show, one hell of a fan fest, one hell of a weekend right there if you can get down to that area. So if you're watching us, go. It will be great. Tina says she can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, big shout out to our boy Zach Takes and Zigman. Rest in peace. And Shotgun getting into the Hall of Fame for CEW this weekend. Zach, very, very good close friend to the show here. So I mean, we're happy to see anything good happen to the people that we love, and all these people are good people, but especially when it's the people that we know who have our back and we got their back. And Zach's nothing but a supportive friend. So shout out to him. Congratulations again. Honestly, if I would have known this was all happening like a little further in advance, I would have tried to plan a little bit better so I could be there, because I would love to be there to support you, Zach, and to support Austin and CW and this big stuff. Unfortunately, though, I get to help move my niece into her new house, Tom.
Well, not only that, but you and I are both just coming back from vacations this last weekend and stuff too. So it's really hard to try to make sure everything is done properly as far as planning out and then where we're going and all this other stuff. Because, not only have we got some stuff coming at the end of June, we're going to have a really busy July.
July is going to be insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, not only with this show itself, but, obviously you mentioned Waterloo. I finally was able to find where to get tickets on their website. I love the Hall of Fame down there, but it is a little bit weird to kind of meander through their website to be able to find some stuff. So, but man, they got Haku being honored this year, man. So that is a dangerous decision on their part, but more power to them for expanding the Hall of Fame to include a few Samoan wrestlers or some guys who have spent some time in Japan as well. So
yeah, man,
looking forward to that.
It's going to be very cool. JBL will be there too and all that. We're going to get it as we get closer to July, because obviously we'll be there. The schedule came out. Wes and I will be doing the live show Saturday at like 11:30 at the Hall of Fame. So if you're coming, come see us, say hi, check out the live show.
There's supposed to be another podcast collective like they did last year. So you'll if you want to meet me in person, I will try to not have sunglasses on or be hungover. But there is no guarantees when it comes to Waterloo and Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Let's dive in, because I feel like we're kind of running out of time. We may not go the full 2 hours tonight, y'all, just because we're guys short. And to be honest, I'm still oh shit, I never did change my laundry now that I thought of it as well. So that's awesome. So I got to go do that, and I also got to wake up at 5. So let's get into it, man. First of all, pretty good show, right? Pretty solid show. There's some good ups, there's some good downs. I did not watch the buy-in, so skipping all that. Let's get into that.
Seeing the results of that match too, it's also one that I didn't care too much about.
Other than Jeff Hardy about killed himself again.
Apparently. Not on drugs this time, though.
He just like missed the rope and like fell on his face. It was. We had the unsanctioned match with Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho, which it was a good time. You had Britt Baker came out, and then Saraya came out, and yeah, it was a good time. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the last 5 minutes I was in the kitchen, so I know Cole won, but I kind of didn't.
It didn't wrap up that well, other than Jericho brought out. I think he was planning on tying up Cole to the ring with a long chain and that had handcuffs on the end of it. Yeah, it wasn't a great overall match for me. They definitely did what they could with their spot on the card. It was, I think, a little too early in the night for it, but I mean, it was a fine match. I don't really think it showcased enough of Adam Cole because we haven't really been able to see him in a while.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So, but honestly,
It was
overall, yeah, it was an okay match.
It was good. It was good. We got the AEW World Trios Championship. House of Black had the open house challenge, and the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass come out to take that challenge. Which, by the way, the shot at Buddy with the Dom line, brilliant.
World class.
Great. That was just great. And then did you see Rhea tweet it later and was like, "Hey Dom," tagged him in it. She's like, "Hey Dom, we're over in 2 companies."
Yep. No, that's very true. And I mean, that does show exactly kind of how global this is because you wouldn't be able to do a lot of that stuff back in the WCW, WWE days. You didn't have all that much crossover with fans and stuff. But hell of a line by Max Caster. Also, you may have not seen it. I don't know how many people did, but the new look to these trios championships with House of Black, with its kind of a matte nickel finish to it.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Yeah, so it's very toned down, but it matches their mystique, if you will, very well as far as the belt design. It's black leather. Like I said, it's like a matte nickel. It's black lettering. I think it's a great look. I actually think they should just stick with that title design, but it's a good look. Not a great match. I did fall asleep during this one today because I watched it all today, but not terrible, but a couple spots really kind of stood out to me or stood out. One was when Malachi Black sat down and then Anthony Bowen sat down right across from him. That was pretty fun. Again, yeah, the Max Caster coming out with his rap was real good. And yeah, I mean, it was a decent master of trios. Again, a little bit odd space placement on the card. I thought it was going to be a little earlier, especially considering you didn't know who the challengers were going to be.
I also
thought
they'd put one of these other matches in between the 2 main events, which they didn't do.
Just to break it up a little bit, yeah.
Because you want to have a come down. Dan, there you are. What's up, Danny? Top Shelf Sports Bar in Fond du Lac today told them about you, Tom. They didn't sound too happy with you. So
I was stealing their name? No. When did they first start, by the way? Because Top Shelf Sports Bar doesn't mean diddly crap to a guy like me, okay? Because I've been top shelf from the day I was born, okay? That's what you all need to realize, that I've been top shelf for a long, long time. So you tell the Top Shelf Sports Bar, I'm coming for him. Okay. I'm going to introduce myself, and then we'll have some words. I'm sure of it.
You don't know who I am, but
that's fine, because I don't know who the fuck they are either.
TBS Championship match. Taya Valkyrie takes on Jade Cargill. Jade gets the win to go to 60-0, even though. So that happened at the end. Punch him in the dick. At the end, we then have Mark Sterling cut a promo about she'll put the title up anytime, anywhere, against anyone. We then get the returning Chris Statlander, who takes her on and wins. Chris Statlander, the new TBS champ. Jade Cargill now officially 60-1. But I think the meat of this whole part of the show is the fact that Taya had to put up with a lot of shit in this match to try to make it look good. And it does kind of suck that like Statlander just kind of came in at the end there and just kind of got to like squash Jade. Again, you have had this title on her over a year now, am I right? And I'm not.
Yes.
Again, yeah, I'm glad they finally did drop it. I just think it should have been different. But I mean, again, just for fuck's sakes, Tony Khan, did you watch her match on Sunday? Did you watch it? Jade fucked up every other thing in that match. It was horrible. It was so bad. I felt so bad for Taya Valkyrie and having to try to just like make that look not like hot garbage. But fucking Jade, I mean, and also not hurt herself. You know what I mean? Not get hurt by Jade or hurt her. Or, you know what I mean? Like it was just rough,
Yes.
bro.
Well, and I got one thing to say about this. I want them to make sure that they get Jade properly trained. Like, okay, so you don't need to have her on TV for a while. You can pull this back a little bit. You can, have her develop a little bit more, and she might be good down the line. However, what we saw on Sunday is that she is going to spend more time choreographing her entrance than she ever will choreographing a match. We saw this with her AKA sisters, which, hey, you know what? I am fine with bringing in people to do the dancing with and doing some of that choreographed stuff. Super cool stuff. I love the festivities like that of these big events. But if you come into the ring was a better product than what we saw in the ring, there's problems with that. And I think that's really what this was. I think they should have scheduled this out differently where you could have actually dropped it to Taya. I think it would have been a better match to see Taya versus Chris Statlander. So not like it would have happened if Taya would have dropped or won it, but I have to assume that they paid Taya a shit ton of money to put up with two of these matches.
I hope so.
And not walk away with the title. I have to assume. I'm okay with it on Statlander, though, as long as there's at least a title change.
Yeah, I'm
for the
okay
better.
with it. You could have gave it to Taya. There was no reason you didn't need to give it to Taya. She has credibility working all the major companies behind her. Like, there's just no reason. I get it. Statlander's one of your people. You know, she's an original AEW signee, so I understand that. Again, it all for me comes back to Tony Khan. Match after match after match, Jade Cargill has proven that she's going to seriously hurt herself or one of the people she's working with in this ring, because a year of holding a championship and this woman still cannot do these fucking moves. And I mean, what is it going to take her breaking someone's neck and putting him in a wheelchair before you're like, we really shouldn't have just put her in there because she looked good. Should have made sure she knew what she was doing. You know what I mean? And that's the scary fucking part.
Yeah. And, she doesn't live that far from Jacksonville. I don't know if they're doing anything with Jacksonville specifically or if it's more out of the Nightmare Factory or whatever as far as their training goes. But she does need to take some time away. And that's fine. Dan just said that, the plan was for Jay to take some time off. Statlander was always planning to win. That's fine. That's cool. I'm not concerned about that side of it. I'm more concerned about the side, like Ace said. Let's get her trained properly. I think she can be an asset for the company going forward. I mean,
if she gets properly trained, for sure, but she needs like a year of it, and it needs to be good.
Yeah, and the one thing we have with this is either if Taya Valkyrie would have won, then you could have had a great program with the Outcast where they're trying to maybe like bring her in and fight with her a lot like we've seen kind of with some of the stuff with Jamie Hayter and Brett Baker, or even now with Chris Statlander, you could still do a program like that because now they're going for another title in their group. Not to spoil the shortest women's championship match I've seen AEW produce, but I mean, I think it again helps set up that women's division to be a little bit deeper and better. I think, which hopefully is going to be the case with Collision right around the corner.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the sad part is Jade Cargill, I guarantee you in her time off will not do any training. Like she'll work out at the gym and shit, but she won't probably go and actually do like, hey, I'm going to go do like 4 straight weeks of just train in the ring. She is someone that is the perfect person to be sent through the NXT system.
Yeah, that's probably a good take on that one.
And they wanted her. I know, what was it? Well, I think what was the deal? Like, I don't remember because I think she plans to not wrestle for long either. Like, I do think this is a stepping stone for Jade. Like, she's trying to become an actress or something. I think that's her end goal, and I think that was the deal, is that like at WWE it would have been her whole life. Well, guess what? When you're getting paid money to do a job where if you don't do it correctly, you can kill someone, it should probably be your life. Like you should probably be eating, sleeping, dreaming wrestling. The successful ones do. You know
Normally.
what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? We have the ladder match for the TNT Championship: Wardlow versus Christian Cage.
This
Why?
one sucked.
Why?
Yeah. I don't want. I hate being too negative on this stuff, but there's a time when Wardlow and spoiler alert, by the way, you guys haven't seen Double or Nothing, but when he took out Luchasaurus by taking the dive off the 12 or 14-foot ladder, that's enough time for Christian to just go up and just be like, well, if this motherfucker's, if he's, I mean, it makes Wardlow look stupid because he's preoccupied with something that's other than the championship and whose opponent is. But that should be enough time for Christian to get in, get a new ladder, and scurry up the top. And I thought plans were going to change too, as soon as it looked like Wardlow might have broken his leg trying to jump onto a ladder rung, which again, stupid man.
Well, it's fucking physics, people. Like, come on. You think that ladder is gonna hold that big ass body jumping on it? Like, no, it's not. And you only had one ref holding one side to try to spot it for him. Like, obviously, when he jumped off it, they had 3 people holding the freaking ladder down for him. So you really thought he was gonna land on that when he jumps up.
Well, even that though, Rick Knox is telling him he can't use this to go up, and he gets mad at Rick Knox. I'm like, no, that's just actually to help save your fucking other leg or your injured leg already, man. Like, again, it was too much time for Christian not to be able to get a ladder and go over and grab the title, which at this point, you need to validate that title more because Wardlow's a 3-time TNT champion, which means that this title has been just juggled around by too many fucking people. Because Sammy Guevara is like a 3-time champion, Scorpio Sky is like a 2-time champion. Like, there's just too many people who have held this for too little of time. You needed to solidify this with an actual polished champion.
You need to have storyline.
Yes.
You need to actually have stories and let these programs build and breathe to put prestige on your titles. I understand you don't do that with the majority of your show, Tony Khan. I get that, and that's fine. You do it how you do it. Everyone does it different. Billy Corgan does it different. You do it different. Impact does it different. WWE does it different. And New Japan does it different. AAA does it. Everyone does it different.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's just, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just.
This was a painful match only because of the simple fact, like, the commentary team already had it correct. You had Jim Ross playing a great story with Christian's been there. We've seen the TLC, and then Taz is playing along, and we've seen him also go in ladder matches. I mean, they didn't even touch on any of the King of the Mountain stuff from TNA or now Impact, but that's the whole thing. It was like, he has been there. He does know how this works. As soon as he sees Wardlow go to the top of that ladder and he's not screwing up another ladder, I mean, as soon as he gets up there and it's a long ways down either way. Even if he's climbing down, you got plenty of time to grab another ladder and get up there. It makes both of these guys look stupid. It makes his title look even worse than it has been. And it's by far, no matter what the results were, the worst match because Christian could not carry it to the level it needed to be because of the fact that you're in there with another guy who just needs some fucking time, needs some more polish.
He is the man version of Jade Cargill.
Pretty much. And I like Wardlow, but it just happens to be he's not the right guy to carry that title.
Well, I think also, too, the title, the point I want to make is I get that Tony Khan's going to book his shit like he does. Like JR likes to say, he books it like an indie show. It's a lot of just big name, big matches, big spots. Okay, cool. That's fine. I love some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at least with your titles, at least build programs.
Correct.
Build 3 to 4 month programs to let these things become what they should be. And that is the prestige, the top of the line, head of the business. You know what I mean? Like the face of the place. But like these belts change hands so constantly, with the exception of the world heavyweights. And it got even worse when they got the ROH titles and started swapping those around. That it's like, well, dude, but yeah, like you said, you can't even build legitimacy to the TNT and TBS titles because of how much they've switched hands. That it's just like, well, everybody gets a turn, instead of like how the Intercontinental title used to be for WWE, like a big deal. Whoever got that, it was basically known they were eventually going to be the top of the top.
Right.
Where these belts, it's literally like everybody gets a turn. Everybody back there gets a turn. I don't know. The 21 Blackjack run. This is another belt. The for the AEW International Championship title. Orange Cassidy retains. First of all, you're doing this big battle royal rumble. Have one surprise, even if it's just like a big named indie or an old legend that's not signed anywhere. Have one surprise. It's almost like they wanted to build story around this match when you have 21 people involved instead of their actual title matches, because it seemed like they were trying to build stuff between everybody in there. It was just a lot going on. Orange retains. Orange is going to have to drop this eventually. I feel Best Friends turns on him eventually, because if you notice, they saved him a whole lot that night.
Well, and that was the thing. He got out of the way of a big Bill boot that ended up costing Chuck Taylor. So I think that's where the seam is going to be, is through Chuck Taylor not breaking up the Best Friends, but also turning on Orange, and then Trent follows suit because, Trent pushed him out of the way so he could get eliminated, which if you're in that, you're also wanting the title. And we haven't seen Best Friends win a tag team title yet, which is probably overdue, which they won't anytime soon, because that title also needs to be held for a while with FTR, because they have had a very short history with the belt last time. But I don't know. It was that's just another dumb match too. But this was a lot of stuff. I think you're going to probably have Swerve saying that he deserves an actual shot at the title, which
whatever.
I don't
know. Whatever. I mean, I'm not against it, but it's like, well, what does this title mean? Like,
exactly. That's exactly what does this title actually mean?
Yeah, we then moved to the AEW Tag Team Championships. FTR against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Mark Briscoe, special guest referee. He eventually turns on him because Jeff Jarrett's a dick. I mean, this went how I pretty much thought it would go.
Yes. The only fun thing for me was the fact that Mark Briscoe takes the best guitar shot I've ever seen.
Darn.
He was stunned, and then realized, like, oh shit, I actually do need to fall on this one. That guy's such a goof, man, but he also is probably one of the funnest guys in wrestling right now.
He reminds me of, like, him and his brother. They reminded me of, like, the Diaz brothers in the MMA world.
Right. Yep. We're gonna do our own thing. We're our own people. We got our own words. Yep. And then Karen Jarrett hitting Aubrey Edwards with the worst guitar shot I've ever seen, because one, she's so off balance, she barely even breaks the guitar. Poor Aubrey had to play like it actually hurt. And then Karen's ankle damn near breaks in her heels, and she falls to the ground. And God love Jay Lethal, by the way, for making it seem like she was trying to check on him and stuff like that by like getting over the, oh yeah, no, I'm good. Like, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
But
I'm so like Jeff Jarrett and her do not need to be there. AEW World Women's Championship match. Jamie Hayter drops the title to Toni Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're setting up for Wembley, and that's a big deal for Jamie Hayter and for them to have Jamie Hayter there. So we're going to see her get shelved now till that event.
Yep, heel up rematch.
So, which is fine. Those are both big names overseas, and Hayter's going to get the big pop. But again, it brings into question, nothing's been said about All Out in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you wonder on how, I don't know. It's just weird to have these two major pay-per-views within a week. I'm very interested to see how they end up doing some of these title matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, obviously with this woman, I mentioned earlier, this is the shortest title match I've seen AEW ever pull. And I also think that shoulder with Jamie was legitimate. I think, and especially when she took off the kinesio tape, and you could see that there's an actual bruise on the inside of the arm, which tells me it's probably like a deltoid or maybe a rotator cuff or something like that. That's actually pretty serious, and it was actually bleeding. Yeah, Dan, we were going to mention that a little later, but way to spoil the fucking.
I think we already did, didn't we? Oh, we did that before we went live.
We talked about pre-show, but no, good for Tony Storm. Again, this sets up where now the Outcasts can kind of do whatever the fuck they want for the next however long until we get to Wembley, and then we'll see Hater. I just can't believe, again, we did, especially with Tony Storm winning, we did not see Thunder Rosa show up after the match and challenge it for it.
She might not be cleared yet, though.
Maybe, but again,
she was doing like commentary and Spanish stuff for AEW, so maybe she's not cleared yet.
Maybe, but again, I'm throwing it out there about, if she is cleared or if she's even getting close, you can throw out the challenge saying, because I'll line up something else, for, the opening match of Collision or something like that, because that's only in a couple weeks. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Weeks. We'll see. We then had the AEW World Championship match, Fatal 4-Way, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, MJF. MJF gets to win. Great match. Yeah, great match. Where they go from here, I'm interested to see, because you just had 3 other guys trying to get this, so now you got to take it from 3 to someone has to have this one-on-one feud. With MJF, him winning the way he won, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
And I really, the whole match was just entertaining. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I know like Jim Cornette or whoever is going to get on their podcast this week and just say, oh, what a spot fest, blah, blah, blah. But reality was, like, there was good chain wrestling on this one. There was good technical wrestling. There was spots. This was actually a pretty well-developed match, especially with 4 guys. And they played to everyone's strengths very, very well. And
there's some real good chain wrestling. I mean, we saw Darby, Jungle Boy, and Sammy go through just reversal after reverse, or roll up into 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 roll up. So I mean, they took it to the mat, they took it to the spots, they did some of the extreme stuff. It was just top to bottom one of the best matches of the night.
I think,
if not the best,
yeah, I would put this at the top as far as of the night. I think you're right, though. It really does muck up the waters because, technically you had 3 guys who couldn't take the belt off of MJF. And you had 20 other guys who couldn't take the belt off of Orange Cassidy, their international belt off of Orange. So now it murkies up the water enough where, well, who the fuck do you have other than, I mean, the only other person that really came out of this looking somewhat decent as far as the male side is probably Adam Cole. So that might be who is the next. And I'll be real honest with you. If it's Adam Cole and MJF at the next pay-per-view or whatever, or at Wembley, fucking sign me up, dude. I think they could probably burn the fucking house down, man. That is a hell of a matchup that I would pay to see that.
Yeah, that could be a good one. We move on to Anarchy in the Arena, the Elite taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. First of all, yes, okay, dude wore blackface in the band. Dumb decision. But I noticed the mask too, though, and I was like, that's a pretty thick-ass mask. I wonder why he's wearing that. And then just the whole... I like it. I like the spot that they're going to super kick the band. Did we need like 8 full minutes of Wild Thing to get to that?
No,
that could have been one of the first fucking things done in the match.
Yep.
It didn't need to go on that long. It's annoying. First of all, you have, what is this, 5-on-5? 4-on-4?
4-on-4.
You have 4-on-4. So you have 4 different pairs of people that we're trying to pay attention to because they're all doing different spots in different places of the arena. And then you got this shitty band singing Wild Thing for like 7 minutes straight. Could have done without that. Minus the band part. I mean, this is what you expect it to be. Just a fight, an extreme type deal. Some really cool stuff. The pins in the Young Buck's foot. Gross. The exploding shoe to Moxley's face. Dope. Don Callis ends up screwing, them over and brings in the dude. I now here's the deal. I don't know who that dude is. So when he came out to me, it was like, okay. Hello.
You don't know Takeshka? This is the guy that they've been trying to put in the elite for a while now, for like the last few months. This is like a Don Callis idea to have him join the elite. And he was, and even that, like Taz said it best, we don't know if he's actually part of Blackpool Combat Club after this match because his armor is being held up by Don Callis. Now, at one point, Brian Danielson was recruiting him into the Blackpool Combat Club as apparently the elite wanted him. So again, this is the guy they just brought over from Japan. High talent level. Technically was part of an eliminator match with John Moxley. Really did well against him, but the way they did it and how kind of short it made everything kind of look and feel to the actual conclusion of the match was, I think, dumb. Because they didn't have him coming from the right camera angle either. They had him coming from hard camera out, so you don't see him until he pulls down his mask after he hits the move. What you need to do is have him come out facing hard cam, hit the move, so then you at least have some wonderment in the face, and then he could just come out of the move and be already facing instead of having to turn around, all that sort of convoluted shit. So, I don't know. All in all, this is also some of the worst editing and direction. Like, this is Kevin Dunn bad. Like, they're missing all these spots by trying to go to camera angles. Like, you have all four of the angles and even the hard cam in front of you. So you got like 5-6 cameras or whatever in front of you. You know what you're leading up to. Like, you got to be hitting those fucking a little bit quicker there. But
yeah, again, overall decent show. The title match was very, very, very good. Probably the best match on that whole card. Honestly, that show really wasn't that awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Now that I really think back and looked through this while we were talking about it, like that 4 pillars match was just crazy. The rest of it was like,
it was definitely a C grade at best for me. But also even that, like, again, I was trying to watch this and Night of Champions kind of together at the same time, just to come into this with at least some level of preparedness. And Night of Champions was a little bit better. That was still, I think, too much of a mess. They played up too much for being the fact that they're in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Mustafa Ali went for the Intercontinental Championship. Are you kidding me? Come on. We all knew he wasn't walking out of there with that title. So,
right, dude, okay. Let's see what Wembley's like. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. Cool. It's weird. I don't know if it's just Double or Nothing as a whole this year just kind of didn't get a lot of attention or what. Usually this thing sells out. Usually it's a big deal, to be real honest. It didn't look like they sold tickets well. They sold, but from what they were saying, Logan Paul being in WWE, great heel. Great heel. He found a home. That's what I think. I think he's amazing at it.
11,000 though for Double or Nothing.
To hear that a lot of them, like a good chunk, didn't come in till the women's championship match, which was a few matches in, like 3-4. That was like the 4th or 5th match, I think. So the first half of your show was playing to half of an arena.
Yeah, that was the 4th match because you had the grudge match, the unsanctioned match, excuse me. Then you had that was the 2nd one. You had the battle royal first, then you had the tag match, and then you finally had the women's match. So
yeah, they said that the crowd really started to file in then. And this is a Vegas thing, though. Is like people do, like you watch any MMA or boxing match, people don't come into like the last 2 freaking matches. It's dumb.
Yep.
But Double or Nothing's not had this issue in Vegas before till this year. So does make you kind of wonder, are they losing some steam over the whole CM Punk shit and just everything? Because let's be honest, the Elite and Punk getting into a shoot fist fight backstage after a major pay-per-view, was not a good look.
No, of course not.
That did damage to this young company. And unfortunately, I do think Tony Khan's not. And I talked about this during Double or Nothing with somebody, and then we've talked about it on here, and that is that Tony Khan needs to put his foot down and say, "I'm the fucking boss. You're doing what I'm asking you to do. This, that's how it goes." Audrey, what's up? But the fact that he's like, "Well, we'll do Collision, Punk. That'll be his show." People were, no, man. Put your goddamn foot down and be like, I don't care who you are. Like, we talked about how this would never happen when Vince was running WWE back in the day. Like, it would be like, no, I don't care. Like, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels didn't like each other. At that time, that heat between them was very much real.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But they did business. Matt Hardy and Edge, Adam Copeland, very, very real. You know what I mean? As far as the whole feud when the shit was going on with Lita. Like, that was real life shit. You know what I mean? But they did business because it was known. We're going to do this because it's good for business. We all will benefit. Money-wise, we will all benefit. If you can't be professional about it, though, then get out of here.
Correct.
Where Tony Khan's not doing that, and he's kind of letting people walk on him. And I think it's starting to actually affect the booking of the shows now.
I think so. Yeah, you're dead on a lot of that stuff, and you can kind of see it with even how him and his dad. And I think Shad Khan is a good businessman. I think he's probably very shrewd, but it seems like Tony's kind of running all of the sports ventures for the family. So I think Shad's more involved with just the Jaguars. By Tony, I think Tony has his hands more with Fulham FC in the Premier League, and then with AEW especially. But so I think he's too enamored with the fact that he's around stars. I think this guy
he just doesn't know how to be a boss. He's a fan.
Like, if anything, I would consider him like a guy who wanted to be the club owner back in like the 80s. So then people would come into his club and he could do drugs with them. You know what I mean? Like, so he wants guys to come in and party with him. So, and I really just don't know what exactly to think outside of the fact that it's a lot to ask of all your talent to be your buddies, because no one's exactly going to get along with everybody.
Right. I hear you. Yeah. Well, it was something. Let's see what they do at Wembley. I think we're gonna cut out here. I know it's like about 20 minutes early, but we're gonna take off. I gotta now stay up like an extra hour and a half later than I planned tonight because I have to go do my fucking note. Anyways, we'll be back next week. Amina. Oh, sorry. When Junior's not here, I forget.
Play the intro.
Coming soon to the 2 Count.
Amina Belmont out of Black and Brave. Seen her on Madhouse. Seen her all over the Midwest. A lot of power. A lot of power in that little girl right there, kicking all kinds of ass. So we are excited to have her on. A lot of big things happening on for her right now, early in her career. So we're excited. We're gonna have Amina Bellman on. That's next week. The week after that, I believe, is our good old friend from Tag Team Photography. Am I right? Yep, it is. No, it
Clint
isn't. Yeah, it is. Clint Dye coming on. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk to him, what inspires him, all the fun he has taking pictures of all these shows. And then, we'll get ready. June 24th, Madhouse Wrestling in Newton, Iowa. So June 20th, we'll do a little preview with that, I'm sure, with Luke Raven. We also have a good friend of the show, Whitney McAllister, going to come back and hang out with us and have some fun. So we'll have a good time there. So a lot of stuff coming your way, guys. This summer is going to get super crazy. In like 3 weeks, we're going to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank God we're going to take the 4th of July off.
Yeah, we're not doing. Sorry, guys, but we're not doing a show on the 4th.
No.
Awesome. What do you have anything that you need to promote?
Since we had some Iowa people in here, I should have said it's maybe earlier, but Friday, June 9th, Grattinger, Iowa. I don't have any information on the tickets because the guy who books the show is always late getting that. Like, I don't have friends and shit, but Yeah, I think it's at the golf course there. I will try and have more information about that, but I will probably be down there early. So if anybody wants to actually play a round of golf or even just hit the driving range or whatever, let me know. I will be down there. And
There it
also
is.
shankygolf.com top shelf is the promo for 15% off your orders. I haven't been pitching that nearly enough, but
Get it. Yeah. And then Briscoe Big A Show, YouTube, check it out. Subscribe. We just put an episode up last week, so you can check that out. Got more stuff coming your way. That's all I can think of. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday here on the 2 Count.